Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Kathy Walters, and Deborah Wilson and I are pleased to be together and with you this evening, and we'll be about an hour, and we're going to give you a taste of something that we call change, an inside job. We're pretty pleased with that name. Now, you probably going to want to have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil handy. Don't go to any extreme lengths to do that, but it probably wants something handy to write on. And so I've been working with Deborah for about 5 years now, and I've learned a great deal about the form of energy medicine that she practices, we call wholeness energetics. I was in her first apprenticeship a few years ago, and I've assisted her in teaching wholeness energetics in workshops and in weekend trainings and the full 9-month apprenticeship. We've also done a few of these webinars together, and you'll see our technical expertise just spilling out as we do this. There's always something that we have to pay attention to that we forgot from the last time, but it's fun. So we'll have more details about these and other learning opportunities a little later, and a couple of special offers for you. So again, we'll be about an hour, and we invite you to join us on a little adventure as we talk about change, what it means, where it comes from, and some powerful ways to make the changes we're seeking. Now, if you have a question or a comment as we go along, please feel free to type them into the chat section, which all or most of you seem to have discovered already. It's pretty obvious on the screen. And we will get to your questions or comments as we can. We have a pretty full presentation, but we'll have time for questions. And if we don't get to your topic, you can check out information on our website, and if needed, contact us for more information. And the website, and we'll be repeating this a couple times, is pathofthehealer.com, no spaces, pathofthehealer.com. I want to mention that I have a dog who may bark at some time. She usually has during most webinars. Of course, she barked a few minutes ago when we were in our practice mode, so maybe that's it. So we'll see what happens. Now I want to make a switch here in the video. Sorry about that. 1 second. So I want to introduce Deborah Wilson, and whom many or all of you know already, but I'd just like to take a moment to do that. And she's preparing for her close-up, so she'll be with us momentarily. So Deborah Wilson put together Wholeness Energetics, which is a unique energy medicine system. It was born from almost a lifetime of work in areas like meditation, consciousness, healing in the human energy field, and so forth. Deborah co-creates all of this with spirit and shares it in her practice, in her professional training, the Path of the Healer apprenticeship, and also in talks and workshops and webinars like this. In her work and life, Deborah calls upon her studies with several spiritual teachers, over 25 years of practicing holistic health, professional training, her gifts and skills, and most especially her strong connection with spirit. So as we begin our discussion this evening, I share with you this thought from Anita Moorjani, who's one of the many people whose experiences and expertise we call on as we explore the field of energy medicine. Anita Moorjani's insights on life and life purpose always make a powerful contribution to our studies. And here's the quote I selected for this evening. In the tapestry of life, we are all connected. Each of us is a gift to those around us, helping each other be who we are, weaving a perfect picture together. So if you're ready, I'm ready, I think Deborah's ready, we will begin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Deb.
Hello, good evening. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you. So our technical advisor let us know if there's any problems with voice or sound, or any of you, if you're having problem hearing us or seeing us, send us a message in the chat. Any questions you have along the way, send a question or comment, type it in. If I'm on a roll, I may not answer it right away. when I take a breath, when I stop and breathe, I'll keep my eye. Well, both of us will keep our eye on the chat box. Oh, I guess I'm on, huh?
You're on.
So I just want to thank Kathy. She's my wonderful assistant and says wonderful things about me, and I'm her greatest fan too. She's been a great asset in helping me create the manual and bringing her own wisdom, her own big body of wisdom and her background and training to this powerful work. So thank you. And welcome to all of you. So we have an exciting program, and let's just hop on to the next slide. Oops, that's my mouse. So it starts with this understanding. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world. The inner world is our primary reality, and the external world is a reflection. So we're going to start by, I love this slide. We're going to start by talking, though, about, to clarify terms, what I mean by inner and outer worlds, what we mean by the inner and the outer world, because really there is only one reality. And so when we divide it up like this, I'm doing so only for the purposes of this particular understanding that in our minds most of us see two worlds, two realities. We see the reality that our outer senses see, that our physical senses see, that this body is solid, that the table is solid, that the world around us is temporary, that, I could go on and on. And the truth is this body, this table is made of energy, moving energy, and that who we are and the heaven around us is eternal. That's my truth. Not expecting anyone to believe me, to take my word for it. But that's my knowing, is that there's this eternal spirit that is what animates this body, what animates this world, that is real. So we're going to give you a little taste of that indwelling spirit. I'm looking down at my notes. So just a little bit more about this. I'm going to reference a couple spiritual paths or religious outlooks here. The Hindus call this outer world the world of illusion or Maya. The Course in Miracles calls it the world of the ego, or the ego's projection. The Toltecs say we are born with a perception bubble. We're born with a perception bubble through which we see the world. So we're not seeing the real world, we're seeing our projection, our perception of the world. So some of these concepts are pretty easy, you've been introduced to them, and some of them are going to challenge you, maybe. I'm disappearing. I wonder if my
Okay, you're back.
Just checking my connection. Good connection.
Yep,
it all comes from inside. So I want to start back up many years to when I have 5 children, and 4 of them I think were around. And my youngest 2 were pretty young, maybe the youngest an infant, or maybe not even, maybe she wasn't even born yet. I'm not sure, but I was homeschooling, at least 4 kids at home, at least 3, maybe 4 at home. And Grace was working a couple of jobs to support us while I was staying at home homeschooling. So I felt a lot of times like a single mom. And although he was always available, I felt sometimes trapped by having these kids, this house. It's not easy to get out. This one particular evening, I expected him home, little rest, little reprieve, and he called in. I gotta work. I have an opportunity to work late. It's going to be great money because it's overtime. I'm going to take it. And I was like devastated. And I looked around the house and I felt like the walls were closing in on me, like I was in jail. And the kids, of course, picking this up, started crying and screaming and acting out because, of course, they're picking up on me. And the house looked a mess, and there was no place to go. We shared a car. I didn't have a car to like pack them up, even if I could. I could have gone out and taken a walk. But anyway, my mood just plummeted and it was getting worse and worse. I called him back all angry. And the baby's crying, and I'm laying a guilt trip on him, like the baby's like upset with you. And so finally, Spirit, thank God for my connection, got to me. I heard the words, "It all comes from inside, Deb. All of it comes from inside." It's like a slap in the face. Spirit just like woke me up out of this illusion, basically. And as soon as I heard it and really took it in, I said, "Oh yeah, everything comes from inside." So I have a choice of how I see where I'm at, what I'm doing. All of a sudden, I realized Bryce is out working 2 jobs to support you doing what you want to do. We're making money. He's getting lots of overtime. This house is gorgeous. The view, I have 180 degrees of windows looking out on this fabulous. Anyway, right like that, in a second, my whole life changed, and I was in a well lived in, comfortable home with this beautiful family. Great children. The kids stopped crying because they felt the shift in me. So anyway, that's my little personal story. Start getting naked right away and share this story. It all comes from inside. So that's what I want to offer you, the ability to make those kind of shifts by how we see things, but even deeper than that. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. So as we think, so do we perceive. Perception, this is where it gets a little like, sure, I'm asking you to go here out on a limb with me. Perception is a result, not a cause. In other words, let's see if I have it written. I have it written beautifully so I can. So this is mind-blowing. We think we see the proof first, then we form the belief. Then the belief comes. But what if the belief comes first, then we see the proof? We already have the belief, then we see the proof. I have clients come in and they have these problems and they want to blame their parents, their upbringing, their background, their first husband, whatever. And through our work, we see that actually they came into this lifetime, whether you believe in past lives or not, we uncover that they've come into this lifetime with those beliefs. And however you want to look at it, that if they've come in with these beliefs already in place before they even have interacted with these parents, whether it's a belief like I'm a bad person or I'm a bad person and I deserve to be punished. Whatever the belief is that they formed sometime in the past life, then they start seeing the proof. So whether you see it as that it's the lens, the perception lens, like the Toltec believe that that's how they're seeing life because they have these beliefs, so they're seeing it through that lens, or whether you believe that if we have that belief, we draw this experience to us. Either way, just to entertain this idea that the belief comes first, then we see the proof. Because we can change our beliefs. We can change our beliefs and it happens over and over for me, I change my belief, and all of a sudden the external world looks completely different. Just like that's why I want to start the story with this, with a personal, start the webinar with a personal story, is because how quickly on a dime I could change from feeling like I was in jail, trapped without a car, going insane with these kids screaming in my ear, to, oh my God, I live in paradise, and how could I want anything different? I have abundance, I have time, I am doing what I love to do, I have a family, I have a husband I love who's working hard for me. The story completely changed. Same story, I mean, same outer appearance, looked completely different. Me changing my lens, changing my beliefs. All right, so just suspend your beliefs. Don't get scared away by this. See if you can just entertain it.
Just stay with us on this. Yep.
And some people are already there. I know some of you are already got this down. So if you're going with me with this, the beliefs come first and then the proof. The same thing happens here when you want to change the outer world. Something you want to change. I wanted in that story, I wanted to get the hell out of there. Instead, change your mind about the world. If you want to change the outer world, choose instead to change your mind about the world. Not so easy, but this is the key. This is where your true power lies. Not always so easy. So, how do we do it? Have you ever tried unsuccessfully to change your thoughts? Think positively, say affirmations. So my training started in my early teens, or even before that, maybe age 12. I can't remember exactly when I started studying energy medicine. I took a course, in-depth course on the chakras. And I'm gonna have a little sip of water. And I was really shy because here I am in this class with all these older people. I don't even think there were any 20-year-olds. There were probably 30, 40, 50s. So my mom was my go-to. She also was taking the class. And I had severe allergies. I would wake up in the spring when my eyes were practically shut with allergies, spring allergies and pollen. My voice would get raspy, my nose would drip. And my mom would say, change your mind about it. You know, we were learning these tools and reading these books, and I tried to just change my mind. And I was, I just gave up because it didn't work. And I knew that there was some truth in it, but I had no tools, nothing worked. I just tried to change my mind that I didn't have allergies, that I didn't get it, didn't know how to do it. I kept reading books, and I remember praying, when am I going to actually live the stuff that I'm reading? When am I going to live it? So I'm doing that now, and I wanted to teach other people how to do it, because once you get it, it's easy. So what is it? It starts with remembering who you are. So I think it was Einstein that said you can't solve the problem at the same level of consciousness that the problem is. You have to, you go to the next level of consciousness, and then the problem just automatically resolves. Well, the same thing with changing your thoughts. You can't just change your thoughts. You actually have to change your level of consciousness. And here is the key to doing that. One of the keys, probably the easiest one, the only one that I'm aware of, remembering who you truly are. And starting to see life, living from that place, seeing life from that place, anchoring there and letting all actions, thoughts, and words arise from that place.
Deborah, we're gonna just pause for a moment here.
Yes.
We've already shared a bunch of information, some of which may sound a little out there. Maybe.
Yeah.
But just give everyone an opportunity if there are any questions or comments or needing further clarification at this point, because we're going to go into some more detail now, and for the most of the rest of the webinar, to talk about some tools to actually help us do this.
Right.
So it's not just us throwing language at you like it starts with remembering who you are and choose life to see life from the perspective of your true self. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're gonna get into that and exactly how some simple techniques that will be helpful for us. But we just wanted to pause for just a moment and see if there was anything, which I'm not seeing any questions, and that's fine. But we're also at the point where you're probably going to want a paper and pencil coming up next and or shortly. And so I guess we can continue.
Okay. So this is my goal for you. This is my goal for whenever I'm teaching, whether it be a 9-month certification training in wholeness energetics, energy medicine, or it be a weekend training, or just a private session, a 90-minute session, or a free webinar. Doesn't matter. My goal for you and for me is to remember who we are, period. And to start to see whatever situation you're bringing with you, because you probably wouldn't be tuning into the webinar if everything in your life was grand, whether you're sitting in my treatment room or on the Skype session, some reason that you're calling out for some assistance, whether it be big or small. And if you can take that situation and see it through your eyes, the eyes of your soul, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, then it's going to look different. And there's going to be a shift for you, how you see it and how you respond. So here are 3 suggested practices. First step, set a goal or intention. And we're going to go into depth more on each of these, so I'm not going to go outline them. Second, look inside for all you are seeking. Third, choose to see the situation, life, yourself, whatever it is, from the perspective of your soul. The situation, the problem.
Okay. That's another way of saying see the situation from who you really are.
Yeah.
Right? From your soul perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any questions? Send your questions. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, love to hear them. Okay, setting a goal or intention, and this is we're gonna give you a few minutes to actually do this, to set your goal or intention for this webinar, what you'd like to get out of this webinar, or what you're working on in your life right now, what dream you want to create, birth, and we're going to help you write it down. Just the step alone is powerful. When I get up in the morning and I'm a little off, a wee bit, just a little not quite right, whether I'm having a little anxiety in my solar plexus or whether I'm just feeling, I want to just pull the covers over my head, even that much off, I don't want to get up out of bed without making that correction and really wanting to jump out of bed full of life force, full of energy and passion for living. That's how I want to jump out of bed every day. And that's what I do normally, because if I wake up and I'm a little off, I take a minute and set a goal. I also do a little meditative qigong exercise, the microcosmic orbit, and that helps also align all my chakras and my organs. But if I'm still off after that meditation, I do this exercise here, because I usually don't have time to do a whole session on myself. So I just do step 1 and it works. If I'm way off, well, I need to do a little bit more. So what does this mean, setting a goal or intention? A lot of times when you go to yoga class, they say, all right, set your intention for your class. So it could be as simple as that I want to feel peaceful. I want to be wealthy. I want to have financial freedom, whatever it is. I like to put it into a whole statement that usually starts with I. It doesn't have to be a whole statement, but this is what I usually like to do. It starts with I. Usually it has an active verb. Depending on if you're feeling too active, you might want a more passive verb like I open or I relax. But most of the case, you want some other verb than I am. I am peaceful. You might want I'm feeling, or I open to peace. I radiate peace. It's a really nice active verb. I embody peace. Trying to give you an example of a goal that I've done recently. One was I radiate my wholeness. I radiate my wholeness, and all my words, actions, and thoughts arise from that place. Something like that. So whatever you're working on, so if you're creating a new business, say, or a business idea, and you want to, I bravely, courageously birth a new business, which financially sustains me, something like that.
And if if you're kind of new at this, which, even if you're not new at this, when you're struggling with something, it feels like it's new. So sometimes if instead of thinking about the complete sentence, write down some adjectives you'd want to have be part of your goal, or some other words that might come together. And don't worry too much about, is it the perfect sentence, but what is the overall feeling? What is the overall sense? What context are you coming from? I had a goal recently that had to do with standing, that I was standing solidly in some place, and and it took a while to get to the rest of the goal, but I knew I had to start there because it had to do with my feet. And so that's what it takes practice to do this, so it's like really fits in what we're talking about. So don't worry about that right now. Just write down a few words or phrases or whole sentences, however you like, that as Deborah says, reflect what's on your mind right now. Right. What's your goal right now?
So we'll just give you a minute or two. Write down a goal.
I also want to mention, as you're doing that sometimes in a wholeness energetics session, what we get to is the goal, and it's a complete session.
Yeah.
Because that can be the most important thing to do on that day at that time, is to set the goal. And as Deborah mentioned about getting up in the morning and feeling a little off, sometimes all you need to do is set a goal, and that makes enough of a shift. So there's other work we do, which we're going to go into shortly, but this is a very, very important first step. Maybe you'd want to write a note to say done or got it or ready to go or something, or not. That's okay. Just in a sense that it's when we're ready.
Yeah, well, that's been 2 minutes. Or I actually don't know, because I don't have a second hand.
Oh, Roger's ready.
All right, good.
Should you rephrase the question if you don't get goal accomplished and feel resistance? Perhaps. In a session of wholeness energetics, we do check this out using a couple of other techniques. And yeah, go ahead, Deb.
So yeah, so I'm not sure what you. I think you're saying, should you rephrase the goal? I think if you don't get the goal accomplished and feel resistance, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to make setting a goal a daily practice, some people do. One of my teachers recommended that, one of my energy medicine teachers. She said, make it a daily practice. And what she said is that you can take yesterday's goal and just change it a bit to make it applicable to today. So it's not just the same goal. Or you can just keep that goal until, for me, the next day, my focus may be completely different. Maybe I have a tough phone call that I have to make, and I wake up and I'm a little off, I'm a little anxious about it. So I make a goal about that. The day before, I'm building my new practice and I have a goal about my new practice. Today, it's got to be about that phone call. So I make a goal and I say I have confidence when tackling tough communication. I'm clear and I'm truthful and I'm honest and compassionate. Something like that. Doesn't mean that I'm left the yesterday's goal. It's that I'm going to remember that too and come back to it. If I'm working on my business, I'll remember that goal. But it's a good question about the resistance. The whole reason that it's a goal is that there's something, there's some resistance or something we need to stretch about. Yeah. So that brings me to my next point about why this is important. Setting a goal or intention is important if you're moving to, if my goal for you is to see through the perspective of your soul. And setting a goal does this. I'm gonna reference the Course in Miracles, one of my spiritual paths, that says the ego, the lower self, the personality doesn't know what it wants. The soul, your higher self, knows what it wants. So if you ask of any situation, whether it's your situation of the problem that you're coming with, or today's webinar, or something current in your life, what do you want to come of this situation? Your soul, your higher self, will answer. It will come through your heart. It should make your heart sing whatever you write down. And if it's the right goal, you're going to feel some resistance because it's a goal. It's something that you're moving towards. Your whole energy would be moving towards. So that's why it's so powerful, just setting a goal, because you're making that connection to your higher self. And your higher self will rally its energy to get you to that goal. You might not make it the next day. You might not, might be several months, years. It might be instantly, just like the story that I told, that I had that instant shift. Mm-hmm. So that's the importance of setting a goal. Second step, look inside for all you are seeking. So if we are the spirit that animates the body, if we are God, if we are spirit, our soul, whatever you want to call it, our higher self, Holy Spirit, whatever your name is for it, then we are already whole, complete, perfect. We have all the answers inside. We are our best teacher. We have the power to whatever we want to do, create change. So whether it be answers, changes you wish to see in your life, certain feelings that seem dependent on external circumstances, you have them inside. You have the answers you are seeking inside. So a lot of us are, well, when I get the college degree, I'm going to be happy. When I get the perfect job, I'll be making enough money. When I get my partner, my life partner, then things will go smoothly. We're waiting for something out there to shift. When she apologizes to me, then I'll feel better. We're waiting for something out there to change for our happiness, for our peace of mind, for our health sometimes. Somebody I know, many people that I know, but one person I'm thinking of, her health is directly impacted by her relationship. And I know mine gets impacted when I'm not with my primary relationship. I'm not, things aren't going smoothly. My health is impacted. And this person happens to be waiting for the other person to make amends, make the repair in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And when their health is impacted, and my advice is forgive them, do the work so that you can. So our pride gets in the way, our ego gets in the way. the thoughts and beliefs that we need something to complete us. We need something to make us whole. We need something to fix us or heal us. You don't need that. You're perfect just the way you are, and you just needed someone to tell you. That's why you tuned onto this webinar. Got it all inside. So another little story, you'll never find it out there. So I went to North Carolina. When was it? 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago in February. And we rented a little house, beautiful house. Kathy came down and stayed with us for a week while we taught a workshop down there. My mom lives down there. And we were right on the beach. We had this gorgeous house, part of a house, half of a house. Brought our dog down there, 2 kids, 2 of our 3 kids, 2 of our 5 kids. And I came back after being down there a month. I think we were gone 5 weeks or 6 weeks as we went to Florida too. And there was this nagging sense that something was missing. I kept saying, there's something I had down in North Carolina that I don't have that I want. So I started trying to make changes in my calendar. I put in my schedule my yoga classes because I did yoga regularly, right? I have all this free time. I couldn't do walks on the beach, but like so I put in my schedule walks in nature. I put in my schedule more time with my friends and family. I kept trying to adjust this way, that way. Maybe I need to work more. Maybe I need to teach more. Maybe it was the food that I liked. I was like really scratching my head. What is it that I can change that's going to give me that feeling again? Well, one day in meditation, this is like 2 weeks. I'm like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know, trying this and that. One day in meditation, I heard, you're never going to find it out there. What are you thinking? You're not going to find it out there. It's not out there. Oh yeah, of course. Nothing you're seeking is out there. So the feeling that I was looking for is in here. I had a taste of it. Spirit gave me this wonderful gift of the taste of that freedom, whatever it was, that newness, that moving outside my comfort zone that I could find and implement here. I just had to know, stop looking out there, look inside.
Yeah.
So the other thing we look inside for is, just like I described, when I get up and I'm slightly off, or when I'm doing a session and someone's story triggers me and I gotta quickly get back to center, is I look inside to see what internal shift, choice, or release needs to happen. I look inside to see what I'm feeling and thinking. I look inside to see what lens am I seeing this through. Today, Kathy and I went out to lunch, and we went to one of our favorite locations, and I ordered an iced tea, and maybe about a quarter of the time I get this iced tea, I don't like it, and I send it back. And this time I'm like, oh, before I even take a sip, I'm going to decide ahead of time, I'm going to like this iced tea.
Yep.
It always works. It's never failed me. I make the decision beforehand. It's like choosing which lens am I going to see the situation through. Works every time. Hasn't failed me yet. Try it out. So, anything you want to add? Any questions?
I don't see any questions. Feel free to type in whatever you want to, if it's a question or a comment or anything. And if this is where we're going pretty deep.
Yeah. And now we're going deeper.
Yeah, and then we're just gonna continue the dive. So
Roger says,
you're in good hands. It's all right. Don't try this at home. Leave this to the professionals.
So we have a comment here. Roger's going to try with black coffee. Making a decision that it's going to taste good. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend trying making a decision ahead of time about something you already really have a strong belief that you don't like. And this is a perfect bridge, perfect segue into the next topic, and that is our subconscious. The things we're not so aware of that's inside us. So sometimes we have feelings and beliefs that exist below our awareness, and they impact us much more than we are aware of. Sometimes I use you probably have heard it before, the iceberg image, where the tip of the iceberg, the very tip, the only little bit that's maybe even less than what's sticking out of the water, represents what we're conscious of, what we're aware of in our day-to-day living. The rest is all the stuff that's under the water, is what is below the surface, below our awareness level. I call it subconscious rather than unconscious because we can access it. Every time I have a private session or do this work, we help people access their subconscious. So it's not unconscious. You just have to work a little bit to uncover it. This content, subconscious content, affects our internal state, our perceptions, and our experience in the outer world. By experience in the external world, what I mean is just what I described with the iced tea, that I'm deciding what lens I'm going to look at that iced tea through. I can decide ahead of time that it's going to taste okay, and change my whole experience. Or the story that I first started with the house and the walls closing in, it completely changed my experience. So some examples of what's in our subconscious. We make conclusions and decisions based on the past. A lot of our content is past related. Just naturally, it's going to be based on the past. Beliefs that we've formed. If you believe in past lives, beliefs we've formed in past lives, in part on what our physical senses tell us. So like I said before, that we're solid, that the table is solid, that the world is impermanent. This world, the world that we see is impermanent, but that doesn't mean that there isn't an eternal world that's all around us that our physical senses don't perceive, but we can perceive, we can experience. If we just stay focused on the physical senses, then we miss all of the rest of that life. We've also created false identities based on who we think we are. And I talked about wanting to help you identify as who you truly are. Well, the opposite is all of the myriad things, identifications that we do identify with, such as our bodies, possessions, our social status, our racial, national, political, and religious affiliations. So I'm white, living in the Happy Valley here. Tells you a lot about who I am. But is that really who I am? I don't think so. But this does trip us up, this identification. So as we learn to identify, to look within and find these limiting beliefs, find where we're either have a false identity or a limiting belief, we can look at them and let them go. We have the ability to change them, which means then we're able to deal with life's challenges and make the changes that we want to see. So we have, instead of being a victim to the world, which many of us feel at one time or another, it's actually the place that we have empowerment. If we take responsibility that we are creating, we are choosing in some ways our experience, then we have the power to change it. I was pausing for a moment because I was thinking of a story. Let me see if I can bring it back. I've lost it. Bummer. Oh, I got it back again. So last summer, I had this little mini dark night of the soul, and I had a little, like the major earthquakes that come, I had a little mini aftershock where I had a little, relapse, whatever you want to call it. And the relapse was, I felt like hopeless, like I think the words and thoughts were, I'm just a puppet in this, I have no power, I'm just a puppet in this world, the government, the corporations, the big the wealthy people have all the power. That's what I was thinking. Or I don't know, God, somebody has the power. I don't. Really glum, just bleak, like, why am I living? I've rarely had these kind of thoughts, rarely had depression, but here they were, kind of an aftershock of this bigger dark night of the soul that I went through. And it didn't last long, thank God. The next morning in meditation, I was meditating on this. I just couldn't get past it. And this feeling of helplessness, hopelessness, like, why go on if I'm just a puppet? Then I heard, but Deb, who's the puppeteer? Who's the puppeteer? And then, of course, this big smile came over my face. Oh, my soul is the puppeteer. I'm just feeling like the puppet because I'm in my ego. I'm in my lower self where I feel like I have no power. If I just rise up and align to that bigger, greater, vaster self, then I feel I'm back in the saddle. I'm back with the reins. I got the team of horses and I got a good handle on them. I got the puppet strings. So out of that slump. So which leads us to, I think I went too far though, so we're going to go back. Did I?
No, I think that was right.
Was there more that I was going to say about that last? Let me look on my notes here. I just feel like I've skipped something. So we're going to go back just a moment and talk about the energy medicine process. So the process, if you come into my office or if you learn, like I said, learn this technique, it basically breaks down to these three things: making a goal or intention, finding out what's in the way of that goal or intention. By that, I mean looking within, seeing you have everything you need, finding your own answers, and also looking at what beliefs, what false identities, what perception bubble, what lens you're looking at the situation through that probably had arisen from something in your past. And then seeing if you want to stay there or not, if you want to let that go and see it differently. And we do this using muscle testing. We have some other techniques and ways to get into the subconscious. So I just wanted to share that if you're trying this at home, you can do it. It just takes a little focus and perseverance. Maybe you muscle test, and then you can muscle test if that's the case to see if you got it. Because what we often don't realize is, like, I'll muscle test someone. I hear them talking and I can hear it, but they can't. And I'll say, "Oh, you believe." What was an example? You believe you don't deserve that money that your boss is paying you. So you sabotage it. You believe you don't deserve it. And they're like, "Oh, that's not true." Well, we muscle test it, have them say it and muscle test it, and it's strong. It's ringing true on their arm. And then I said, "Wow, why is it ringing true then?" And then they entertain that, "Oh my God, maybe subconsciously." And then we investigate why, and based on this happening at age 3 or maybe in a past life, it's like, oh, now it makes sense. Putting all the puzzle pieces together. So it's not so easy to get to some of those limiting beliefs and false identities. But you can do this at home. You can take just these 3 steps and work this at home. So, or you can go a little deeper and study with us or have a session with us.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy and I will offer private sessions doing this. All right, now we're going to, so, and we've just disappeared, keep kind of popping in and out. Choose, so the final step is to choose to see any situation from that higher perspective, from your soul, your true self, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes this this means this is where we'll start in the session. We'll say, here's the situation, and I'll ask them, what would it look like if you saw this situation from your higher self? What would it look like? Why would your higher self be, say it's a really tough, maybe someone was in a car accident and broke. This was actually a session that I did that someone broke many bones in their body, had a very bad accident. They could go there with me because they were familiar with this work, and I said, so why did your soul orchestrate this, or why did you draw this into your life? They could see. It wasn't a question that they may have asked themselves, but they sat with it and meditated on it, and with muscle testing, we confirmed that that there was a purpose. There was a higher purpose that was planned even before they came into this life. At this point, they wanted and needed a change that could only come about from something big happening, because they had so much momentum going that they needed to have this big, like hitting a wall accident in order to change the course of their life. So they could see this, and it helped them heal faster and helped them move in that other direction quickly. So that's what the importance of this goal, this final step here. The benefits of seeing life from this higher perspective is that you realize that heaven is within you. By heaven, I mean not necessarily the religious version of, heaven, hell. I don't believe in a hell, but I believe in that. Well, I do believe in hell in this context, and what I mean by that is whatever your inner state is. If it's fairly peaceful, full of harmony and inquiry, you're probably tuning into that inner heaven, that inner state within you. That's where your soul is. That's peaceful, calm, connected feeling, like you can tap into love easily. It's a state of mind, right? And so is hell. If you're beating yourself up, if you think you don't deserve love, happiness, good fortune, money, you are creating hell. I don't believe in an external hell. I believe that there is hell, but it's internally created. That we choose that by our beliefs, by our perceptions. So this heaven that you realize is a state. It's a state of being. And that's what I wish for you, and what I'm hoping that I'm hoping to have 5 minutes at the end to do a little meditative prayer.
We're good. Yep.
So, and here, the final slide is when you reach that state, even a little glimpse of that state, of that internal heaven, then you begin to see it reflected out there in the external world. Because like the first slide, can we go back to first slide? No. The inner world is our primary reality, and the external world is but a reflection of this internal state. So if we finally reach that internal state that we call heaven, or heaven-like, then that's what we start to see reflected in our external world. So I'd like to just end, unless there's any comments or questions, still shoot your comments or questions out. I'd like to end with just a 5-minute or less little meditative exercise, or meditation, guided meditation, whatever you want. Close your eyes. Get comfortable. Deepen your breath. Come to one level deeper of relaxation. Imagine yourself in the most glorious place, either real or imagined, place in nature. Open up your senses to the beauty, the sights, the sounds, the tastes, the smells, the feel of the sun and the wind, the earth under your feet. And ask for a glimpse of your true self, of your higher self. Ask to be shown who you truly are. You might just get a feeling, you might get a vision, you might get some words. Jot them down if you do. Ask to be shown who you truly are, your magnificent self. Next, ask, what did you come here to this lifetime, this particular lifetime, what did you come here to experience or learn? You may or may not get a direct answer. You may get a feeling, you may get a visual, you may get some words. You may feel like you received nothing. Trust that you did. You got something, even if it was a little feeling, a little shift. What did you come here to experience or learn? For most people, the answer is something like, I came to learn compassion, or I came to learn forgiveness, or perseverance, or yielding. Last question, ask to be shown what gifts you came to bring. What gifts did you come to bring? Gift or gifts? Again, you might be shown a vision, you might hear some words, you might just get a feeling. You might just feel a slight shift inside. Before you open your eyes, I want you to remember you are whole, complete, and perfect. You have everything that you need, all the abundance, all the resources, all the answers are inside you. You are all knowing, all powerful, magnificent. You are innocent and pure and holy. You are eternal. Wise and loving. Whenever you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Any last questions or comments?
Thank you for that lovely meditation, Deborah. It was a perfect closing for the webinar. I do want to mention, without sort of breaking the spell of that momentarily when we conclude the webinar, you will automatically be taken to a page that we're sending you to. And there are a couple of offers for training and some money off each of the two trainings that we're offering a discount on. And so have a look at that. It's the only time you'll see that page. And if it's something you're interested in, you can make an on-the-spot decision to sign up and pay a deposit, or you can click a connection to send an email to Deborah to ask more about either of the trainings. One is the long-term 9-month Path of the Healer apprenticeship, and the other is something that we're looking forward to trying, which is an online training that will begin in September for 6 sessions. And in much the same way that we've done this webinar, it'll be on some interesting and we think fun topics. And so it's a nice little package we're putting together for that, which is obviously particularly useful if you're not local and local to Western Mass and would like to know more. And so our goal is to have a variety of ways to learn more about wholeness energetics, what this means, and the absolute miraculous things that can happen when we engage at this level. So, Deborah, I think we're done. We're concluded. I don't know if you want to say final words, but
I have a couple things, just quick. One is in the meditation. I had this quick little, not really a story, little antidote. Kathy and I were putting together this webinar and focus on, of course, looking inside, change, and an inside job. And Kathy sent an email, something about my referencing my overflowing basket, my full life that always seems like I'm juggling, 5 kids, a spiritual community that I live in, a full practice, a full teaching load. It's marketing meetings, meetings with my office manager. It's like juggling sometimes. And she's like, maybe you want to think about, I don't know how she said it, but made me think, maybe I want to think about, like simplifying. So I'm like starting to contemplate this. Yeah, how do I simplify my life? And it just hits me like a lightning bolt. Don't try to make any changes out there, Deb. What are you doing? You're making a webinar and looking inside.
Yeah. Hello.
Everything you want, even simpler life, you got to start in here. Make the shift in here. Yep. Nothing outside my life needs to change for me to come into balance and harmony and simplification. So if I can do it, you all can do it.
Indeed.
So one other thing is that we're going to offer, if you're local, we're going to offer a bi-monthly class twice a month on Wednesdays, the first and third Wednesday starting in July, the third Wednesday in July at the Yoga Center Amherst from 7:30 to 9:30. And that's going to be a more focus on meditation and healing. We're going to actually use this tool, but it won't be teaching it. It will be actually just experiencing it mostly. There'll be maybe a tiny teaching component, a little meditation, but mostly experiencing this healing. The online webinar will be going more into depth in this. If you like this webinar and you want, you just barely touched on the surface, then you'll love this online webinar. This online training, because it's going to be a training where you're actually going to get the skills, the muscle testing, the how to access your subconscious, meditations. We're going to have course materials. There's a private coaching session. Everybody will get one-on-one. So either with Kathy or me, one-on-one coaching session that, tailored to this material, and a group coaching session. So you'll get eight 90-minute sessions for a great price. So I hope you sign up for that. And then we have our 9-month or long training starting in September. This is going to be our 5th year. We just graduated great practitioners, and And I know we have some people from Florida and some people from Canada. If you want to invite us, to do trainings in your area, we'd love to come in and do that. So.
And just a final mention that, additional details will obviously be available about all of these opportunities. And if you're not already on Deborah's email list, by virtue of being on this webinar, you will be added to that email list. And probably most of you are connected with Returning to Wholeness, which is her Facebook presence. And if not, a quick email off to her to how to do that. We'll answer that question. And all of the details about all of the above will be available in both of those formats shortly, as we roll these out. So love to have you come to Florida. Well, we would only do that in the winter. That's the rule.
We'd love to come. We're there.
So thank you all very much for joining us this
thank
evening.
you.
This has been fun and informative, I think, and everybody who signed on stayed on, and so that's great. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, here's to change. Thank you, Kathy.
All right. Thank you,
I love
Deborah.
you all. Stay tuned for the offer. It's coming up as soon as we log off. It'll show up on your screen. So
I'm going to leave the log off to you.
Okay.
The power is in your hands.
I love it.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
That would be the end session button.
Yep.